Mats, good evening. Nice to see you. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit vacant today. I have some weird flu. I've been vomiting, having fever, and just being really cold. Right now, I'm really warm, but I'm on painkillers, so I think I'll be fine for tonight's meditation. I'm hoping at least. How's everyone doing? You had a good week so far? Jack, nice to see you. I had a really interesting experience this week. As I told you last time, I went to it was not a chiropractor, it was an osteopath. And yeah, because of my neck, she was going to look at that. So I went there and she's like, oh, it's so open. Like, is it okay if I go into you? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And I could feel, hey, Nadia. And I could feel how she was kind of moving. Like, I can feel very intensely sometimes where people touch me. And I could really feel like how she was kind of moving, if you want to call it energies or whatever. And she was touching me. And it was really like, wow, that's really strong. And I lay down and I started twitching like that. And then afterwards, I felt like, oh, I felt really interesting. I got out, sat in my car, and as soon as I sat in my car, like, oh my goodness, ew, I feel like I think I need to vomit. Like, what the heck? I felt so nauseous. My stomach was just, and I started feeling like, ooh, started feeling faint. So I drove home. It was quite a bit to drive. And as I was driving home, like, I'm not sure I can make it home. I might have to stop and actually vomit along the way. I got home and I vomited like an hour later. And then in the afternoon, I just started feeling worse. I'm like, okay, there was just a little bit. I'm going to be fine. I went to bed and I was shaking and I took a painkiller. I kept waking up, falling asleep. All my joints were hurting, like dengue fever had the same pain when you have pain in your joints, or like a strong influenza. And I woke up at like 2 o'clock, and then I just completely emptied my stomach. And I did it again in the morning, and I was feeling so bad. I could not sleep, and I was just shaking like I had a cold. So, and then, yeah, that's just been staying with. So I think what happened when she did that was that she released some. I probably had a flu or something that it was inside of me, but just because of work and being tense, I just didn't let it come out. But when I got so relaxed from her, it just kind of spit up. So yeah, I've been sick the whole week, and I feel terrible after doing that. But I do feel looser in the neck, and it was very interesting what she did. She kind of just put her hands and she just moved. She said she didn't do it, but like the body was moving, and I could feel how her hands were moving. She said she was basically straightening out the spine, and she was very good in detecting like how things were and saying like, oh, this is kind of crooked. And she said, don't you have pain in your lower back? Because I can feel it's really stuffy there. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that I got that the other week when I was sitting in my chair, and I got really pains. I've had lots of pain in my lower back. And she sensed that without me even telling. And she also said, oh, do you have COVID or something? Or have you had COVID? She said, because of my lungs. So maybe I have COVID. Maybe that's what it is. But it was really interesting. And she came highly recommended from another person I trust really much with these kind of things. There's so many phony people out who just put their hands on you, and it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not really sure you're doing anything. But she apparently knew what she was doing. So, except for the fact that I got really sick after and still feel so bad. It was, yeah, it was an interesting experience. And I almost skipped tonight, but I'm like, no, I like sitting here. I'll just take a few painkillers, drink some tea, and might not be as much talk and might be more rambling than normally, but at least I'll get to see you all. Let's see what are people saying. Oh, you can barely hear me. Oh, let's see. Nice. I do all the talking. Oh, yes, sorry. Is it better now? So sorry. My bad. Yeah, I completely messed that up. Good. No one heard my whole story, right? That's so difficult today. I accidentally turned down the volume before. Can you hear me better now, Nadia? Yeah, that suits this day perfectly. Like I said, I'm not really here. Hopefully you could hear some of that. Mats is saying, that sounds annoying. Hopefully you'll feel better soon. By the way, sound is kind of weird. Yeah, better now. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like I said, I'm not myself today. I accidentally turned it down before. Hey, Sue. No problem. You're not late. I'm early. Maybe. I don't know. Martin Audio's messed up. Yeah, you're right, Mats. Jack Crusher, if you pee on the rag and put it on the pain place for like an hour or two, it might be gone for a while, but for longer you have to see some physiotherapist. Interesting, I've never heard that one before. Better now, yeah. I did, because I turned you to 33. Nice. Didn't hear your story too well. It was nothing. It was just me saying that the osteopath was really good. And very likely I had some flu virus in my body. And when she started moving around, it just came out. Like the minute I left her practice, it just started right away. So it was interesting, to say the least. But the good thing is that I do feel looser in my neck. And I have another meeting in 3 weeks. So hopefully it will help. It's quite expensive to go to these things. But I've always thought that we spend so much money on phones and on going out to a restaurant or anything else, but very few people are willing to spend $100 to go to or more, because you have to drive there, and also to go to a osteopath or a chiropractor or someone who actually really works on you and helps you feel better. We just tend to go to the doctor when something is broken and then we want to fix it, but doing it before to keep it good is something we don't do so often. Jack is saying, my grandmother held like every broken or moved muscle when we were younger, and it worked just fine. Oh, nice. Healed, sorry, healed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we can't explain. I have a like a laser and infrared heating thingy that I put on my muscles when I have sore pain in my neck from my neck being cramped. And I mean, I don't know why it works, but it really does work. It works really well on muscle aches and pains and bruises. It doesn't work on spinal pain, like nerve pain, because I think it can't go deep in to actually help with that. Yeah. But it's like I said to her also, yeah, it's painful and it's difficult, but if you would know how painful it is when it's really bad, then, I mean, this is nothing. And I feel so sorry for people who have to live with chronic pain the whole time. Like, yeah, chronic pain is intense. Jack is saying, I heal broken bones. Oh, with laser in hospitals it works. Okay, I didn't realize it was an accepted method of treatment. Curious about, I took, when I was in Malaysia, I think it was, I took some healing courses with some people who did healing. I can't remember the techniques, what they were called. Jack is saying it's a point laser you have to work with, like a pen. Okay, yeah, that's kind of like what I have, but mine is wider and probably not as strong. Sue, my physio used to turn me upside on a table with straps, holding my legs for 10 minutes, then turn me up. It realign my spine each time. Ah, interesting. 10 minutes, wow. Yeah, she basically said that I have, because of this here, I have like a blockage on one side, and then my whole spine is kind of crooked, and that leads to like other muscles tensing up, and then that just taps on each other and just makes it worse and worse. So, yeah, it made sense, and it's interesting with the whole healing thing, because there seems to be some people who really have the ability to help people heal, but there also seems to be a lot of people who want to give you the impression that they can heal. And yeah, I don't know how it works, but I can for sure say that some people, when they touch you, it just feels different. The other option would be hanging upside in a wardrobe. That would be interesting as well. I did when I had my spinal injury. I was in Manila, and they basically put me in some kind like a harness around my neck and my head, and there was a machine that kept on pulling my neck up, so it did like this, and I pulled like that. I can't remember how long I sat, but it was like 20 minutes or something. It's quite long, and I would do that twice or thrice per day, as well as some exercises, and it was to give like the spines, the what do you call those, the spinal, the vertebra, to give them space in between them, so the herniated discs can kind of heal. And in Sweden they don't do that. They say that it doesn't really help. I mean, it did help for me, and I am super grateful. Last year when I got it back, I didn't do it, and it healed again somewhat. So I'm very grateful for that as well. Jack is saying, funny thing with the urine healing, it's that it was known in the time of the Buddha, and it still works with our grandmother, and we are like thousands kilometers away from that Indian medical school. Yeah. There's a lot of old things people just discovered that doesn't make sense. And also, I mean, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, because I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I believe in market economy, and that if something makes a company money, they will kind of try to squash other things that could hurt their revenues. I think a lot of things that can easily deal with remedies for things we have in our daily life, they don't really want us to have that, because, well, it doesn't make any sense if they can just sell something more expensive to us. Yes, I've tried acupuncture. I'm fortunate that I have a physiotherapist who does acupuncture, so that means the government covers it, and I just pay like a minimal fee for doing it. So I usually go, when my neck is really bad, I go for 6 sessions in a row, and I found that works really well. Acupuncture is also really interesting. Every time I go to her, I lie down and I say like, oh, finally I get to sleep. Can you come to my place tonight and just like put some needles in me? She puts one, I think it's the one in the head, she calls a sleeping needle. So she puts them in the back in certain places in my hand, and then she puts one in the middle of the head. And it always makes me sleep. I fall asleep, and I'm so rested when I go there. I wish I could put them on myself. That would be really nice. Oh, nice. I'm feeling better now that I'm here. I didn't... I felt quite tired before. Like, I'm not sure I can make this, but now that I'm finally here, I'm like, yeah, of course. Couldn't miss this. Oh, by the way, I had someone who wrote a comment on one of the videos and said that in the middle of the recording of one of these live sessions, they got an advertisement. Which I have set the YouTube to like not have any. It's called mid-rolls, to put ads in the middle. I've set YouTube to not show that. Has anyone, like, when we do these sittings, is there ever an advertisement in the middle? I mean, I really hope it's not, because that would be completely defeating the purpose of this sitting if it does. Jack is saying Hatha Yoga does more or less the same, only you have to stretch your bones yourself. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm happy that hasn't happened. What about, has anyone watched, I mean, Sue, you watched the recordings, right? Did you get advertisements during the live recordings? I don't understand, because I never put that on. I'm going to have to check at that video that she said, or he, I can't remember. I only have in the beginning, and I think there is an advertisement in the end also. Very nice lighting tonight. Thank you, Mindful Mama. Yes, I'm happy you noticed. I put on a, I like playing around with how it looks in here. So it's a different lens, and I move the lighting a little bit. So I'm trying to make it feel as much as possible as if we're sitting in the same room. So it doesn't feel too much like, it's, yeah, like in some, I wanted to really feel it is really cozy here. I wish you all could be sitting here in front of me. It would be very cramped if you all would be sitting here. But I wish you could see how nice it feels here. So I'm trying kind of with the angles and with the lighting a little bit to make it like the camera capture and get a feeling of how I feel when I sit here, that you can also feel the same way. So I'm happy that that shines through. And Sue is saying no adverts at all. I'm happy to hear that. I'll have to double check that specific video. It might be that for some reason YouTube turned that on. Like I said, it's not supposed to be that way, but yeah, things happen. Or maybe it could be something she did. I don't know. Maybe she had... I don't understand. I'll have to check it. Nice. Shall we sit a little bit if no one had something else quick they wanted to take up beforehand? I was gonna skip the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 today, but I feel so good we'll do it anyway. YouTube belongs to Google and they just want your dollars. Yeah, they do. I've heard that YouTube actually has problems financially and not making enough money. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. So, for those of you who are new, what we start is that we usually have just a light discussion like this in the beginning, and then we do something called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is basically a technique to bring you to your senses, to become aware of what you're experiencing. Beyond just the story of what you're having running in your mind. I had a discussion with a person earlier today about what it is that I teach. And it's difficult to explain because we're so used to the story of our life. So we believe that the reason we get into spirituality and meditation is because we want to improve our lives. And that's not really what I do. I mean, improving our lives is the side effect. That's kind of like when you take painkillers and you get drowsy at the same time. That's a side effect. The side effect of doing what we're doing is that your life gets better at the same time. And that's a really positive thing, obviously. Sorry, the story of your life gets better at the same time. But what we're really trying to do is learn to enjoy experiencing our senses. Learn to enjoy being here, because if you look at it and you feel what you feel inside, there's always this feeling, I'm not comfortable here. I don't really want to be here. I want to be over there. And over there means I need to finish these papers. I need to go to the gym. I need to eat something. I need to not eat something. I need to find a partner. I need to heal something. I need to fix my back. I need to... All these things that make us feel uncomfortable being here. And if we could just get over there, then we'd be comfortable. So the comfortableness is nothing. There is no absolute relationship between these two. That's simply false. It's just not true. But we're so used to believing if I could only have that, then I would feel good. So spirituality on YouTube has become basically, well, just create your dream life. Manifestation is like almost synonymous with spirituality on YouTube today. But what we're trying to do is to see past that and see that if you can learn to enjoy to be here, life is enjoyable. Just the experience of being here is enjoyable. You don't need to make yourself uncomfortable or to make something happen in the outside world or inside to feel good. And the first thing that you need to do to be able to experience that is to experience your senses, to just see things with your eyes, to just feel things with your feeling senses, smell, touch, hearing, tasting, just using your senses without this self coming in and saying, oh, I like this sofa because it's my sofa, or I like this face because it's my face. I don't like this face because I don't like how it looks, or all the things that we tend to do. So we do an exercise where we say 5 things out aloud that we can see, 4 things we can touch, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And the whole purpose of the exercise is to try to do that without the judgment of the self, without the filter of the self. And I'm careful when I say judgment or concept, because it's not, oh, I like, I don't like. It's the actual feeling relationship that we're trying to take away so we can see it clearly. I don't quote Buddhism often, but there is a saying that in the seen is only the seen, in the heard is only the heard, meaning we don't involve any sense of self in our senses, and then reality is beautiful. It's how we're supposed to experience reality. It's just we've trained ourselves not to view the world the way a child does, so we're trying to unlearn that. But that was a bit longer than I intended. But we'll do it together. Try to say it out loud if you can. If you can't, then obviously just say it for yourself. The main thing is to stop and really look at what you're looking at and feel what you're feeling. So I can see a toilet paper roll. I see a reflection. I see tape. I see a bunch of cables. and I see a pair of speakers, headphones. Those 5 things that I could see. I would take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel the sofa and really feel, what does it feel like when something is touching your skin or something is moving over your skin? What does that feel like? Try to not have a distortion towards it, but instead just try to see it as a clean feeling. It's just something touching you. In the beginning that might feel neutral, but after you're able to release it, you'll see that there's a peacefulness, a sense of appreciation and beauty, almost, what do you call that? The feeling of being in a church, like everything is just serene and sacred somehow. Everything is perfect. I don't need this sofa to be different when I touch it. It's just there as it is. And that's all it needs to do. In other words, it's not just the feeling of I need to move. I need other things to change as well for me to feel good. So while we're touching, we're leaning towards feeling good and enjoying just feeling what our senses shows us. Not that it's my sofa or that it's such an expensive sofa. No, just the fact of feeling this can be just as enjoyable as putting your hand down in a bucket of horse manure. That would also be a sensation. I'm not saying do that because that's like dirty and you might get diseases. But the actual feeling would not be different. I have 3 more things that I can feel. I can feel my hand touching my leg. I can feel the metal of my thermos. And I can feel the stubble of my hair, my beard. I can feel my breath on my hand. Those are 4 things that I could feel. Now we take 3 things that we can hear. And here, try to listen for nuances within the sound. Don't just take the first thing you hear. But really listen. Sometimes there's within the sound, there might be a pattern, there might be a vibration, there might be a nuance that you're not seeing. Really try to listen and hear the sounds for what they are. And see what sounds you can hear around you. I heard something moving, like something falling outside. I hear a fan that's rattling. I hear the wind of my computer fan. So those are 3 things that we could hear, or I could hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. And now we need to focus even a little bit more because the scents are usually not so clear to us. We're not used to using our sense of smell or even our sense of taste. I can smell the warm scent of soap that I used before. Some kind of fruit. I can smell that the air is a little bit stuffy in here. Finally, we take one thing that we can taste. Can taste mint. feel free to keep your eyes closed and keep on sitting, drink a cup of tea, or if you have anything you want to discuss, ask in the chat. It won't be too late tonight because I am feeling ready to go to bed, but if anyone has anything that they have on their mind, you're welcome to ask while we're drinking some tea. See, Sue is saying, I have interesting info about my tingling hands. I'll tell you after the sitting. Oh, I'd be happy to hear about that. Jack said, this was before the sitting, I think, there is nowhere to go and nothing to do. Yeah. There's a song, nowhere to go, nothing to do, and I don't need to hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have lost my worries. I can't remember the rest of it, but they had all these songs they sang in Plum Village. It was very nice. Hey Steven, nice to see you. Mats, is it raining where you live? I don't think... we have minus now, so it would almost be snowing. But we have had lots of rain lately. Steven, what do you think about personality? Are personalities something you need to dissolve? No. So it depends on what you mean with personality. The feeling of a separate personality, yes, but there's let's call them idiosyncrasies, or things that are inherent to your behavior. So okay, now we get into what does the word personality mean. That's not that simple, or what perspective we're leaning into it, but many spiritual traditions tend to talk about it as if those personality, like when you become liberated, there's like you're this neutral, bland thing. Especially Buddhism tends to show it like that. There's like you will be gone, so it's just this neutral thing that just goes around and has no preferences, no likes, and it just moves around in the world, and it's kind of, not really anyone there. What seems to happen when, again, I'm not fully liberated, so I wouldn't know, but I can tell you what it feels like when I'm in a strong state of non-centricness, meaning when I cannot feel any centered point. And I don't mean that just as in though I can't see any perspective when I'm seeing, but when it really goes deep. There's like different hardnesses to how strong you can be non-centric. And when that goes really deep, I still have my vocabulary. I still have my knowledge from the life that I've lived, which creates a momentum, kind of an inertia, that the things I say tend to be from what I've done before and from the life that I've lived. But the difference is that you no longer have the feeling of right and wrong in the same way. Meaning that before I was like, oh, it's wrong to behave like this or say these words. I can still think like it's unnecessary to curse, but I don't feel like, oh, you cannot say that. There's like something you shouldn't say. So the feeling towards that goes away, and that might mean that you actually change some of the things you think one should or shouldn't do. So there's short answer, like no. I would say no. The personality doesn't really disappear in the way that you might think it does. At least this is my experience. But it just becomes easier to be you. Because you might have that, your personality might be that you're very shy and you're like, oh, you're afraid to take up space. That would disappear. Because that part of your personality comes from, I am here, or I'm so afraid of showing myself. So that couldn't stay if you're non-centric. Then that wouldn't make sense. But like the jokes you would laugh at, or if that makes sense. Like, I can't say, like food. All food kind of tastes nicer when you're non-centric, because there's still flavors that don't taste nice, but they don't have that, but you still prefer some flavors towards others. It's not that everything is the same. is that there is very easy to describe. At least we're talking about liberation from my perspective. Is that it's not that the thoughts disappear or your preferences disappear. It's that the underlying friction towards tasting. So when you if you hear like someone taking a chalk and pulling it on a chalkboard, and is it called a whiteboard, and they go, you know, that sound the chalk makes. For most people, they will go, that's a really strong distortion. That just doesn't happen. Like, that part is gone. You might still think, oh, you know what, that's an annoying sound. I don't like that. But that is the part to disappear, which is why I say your personality is still there, but that part is not there. And that might mean that if you before, when someone pulled a chalk over a whiteboard, you would have been like, you would have been furious. That would have been part of your personality. Then yes, that would be gone. So I guess it's a little bit more complicated than just yes and no. Does that make sense? Stephen said, little like funny, introvert, extrovert, serious, calm, or other personalities. I think it would be, okay, so funny, absolutely. Just like life is easy from the perspective of being non-centric. So I think it enhances also. I can only talk for myself. I become funnier. I laugh at everything. Introvert would also be difficult to be, because introvert usually means you're shy. Extrovert would probably be a trait that would be enhanced. Serious, it could be. I mean, that depends on how your personality is. Calm, very likely, yeah. But I simply don't know. I don't have any experience of anyone actually becoming fully liberated, so I wouldn't know. I can just talk about it from what it is that disappears, and then see, okay, would it make sense that being introvert would stay? No, because introvert to me is something that comes from someone who's a bit holding back, and there is not that distortion that makes you hold back, so that seems like something that would disappear. Funny, I don't see why that would disappear. Extrovert, that would, if anything, be enhanced, because you feel the world is beautiful, the world is there, you want to interact with the world. So if anything, you become more extrovert. Serious, not in the sense that, oh, this is serious, it's going to go wrong. No, that I don't see that really happening. But it could be serious, like you could understand, like, okay, if you do this, then this will happen. So it's not that you can't take things seriously. Calm, it's very calm when you're non-centric. It's calm in a way that it's difficult to describe. It's still. Yeah, I hope that made sense. Mats, there is some static, then sound soothing though, like a nice calming downpour. Ah, yes. That's my air conditioner. I can understand that sounds like a rain. Sue, a health condition affect the blood flow from my heart, so my fingers and toes go white when the blood flow is limited. Doctor's theory is increased blood flow causing the tingling. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that could absolutely be. For sure. I mean, that makes sense. That's the thing with, like, when you meditate, you can feel a lot of stuff. And a lot of it is from the meditation, but sometimes it's not, which is why it's always good to check things out if it's something that could be dangerous or bad for you. I see Mats is saying, thanks for the sitting, Martin. Hope you'll feel better soon. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Mats. I appreciate that. Nadia, thank you. Night, everyone. Thank you, too. Stephen, so basically parts of your personality that also with distortions go away. Yes, parts of your personality that come from distortion would very likely go away. If I believe, I was thinking of like racism. Racism comes from fear, so it would make sense that wouldn't stay. But at the same time, if you lived in a place where a certain group of people act in a certain way, that doesn't mean that you couldn't see that group of people act in a certain way. But you could also see that another person who is from this place or who has these traits that group belongs to could be completely different, because you don't. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work either, because everyone is special, unique. You can see that, but you can still draw tendencies. That's a good question, Stephen. Thank you. So it turns out he was right. My fingers and toes are white before meditation and a healthy pink after, which is great news for me in the winter. Oh, nice. So that's where the tingling comes. Thank you for today, Jack. I appreciate it. Yes. Oh, it's gonna be so nice to hopefully sleep tonight. Yeah, hopefully I get to sleep tonight. I've had 2 nights where I haven't slept so much, but tonight I think we're gonna sleep after this sitting. I wish you all a great weekend, and remember, like I always say, and I say it, you might just listen and say, oh yeah, but really, really try to lean towards joy. Try to lean towards appreciating your senses, what you're actually experiencing, not the story that's going on around you, but just appreciate being here. Because if you do that, that is what breaks this need to go over there. Because if you already feel good here, then you won't feel that, oh, I need to get over there to feel good. And when you do that, then you're free. Then you can choose, then you're liberated. Then you can choose to do what you want to do. Not because you feel bad and need to go over there to feel good, but because you feel, oh, you know what? I actually want to do that thing over there. So really, focus on it, try it, and I'll see everyone on Monday.